and started a giving movement where we give take the least we have and give the most to others who don't have. We have done that. And we have done more than Barack Obama has done in Hyde Park. So the real question is not if Barack Obama going to become president. The real question, are you going to support real people that are actually doing real things to bring about real change in your community? That is the real question. Are you going to do that? That is the real question that we need to ask. Because you can see people and they're doing actual work. You refuse to support them because we call it an image of television. Tell lies to your vision and to the media. So we look over the simplicity. Change is very simple. It comes from feeding the poor and educating the ignorant. And every human being has the power to make change in the life of every other individual. So we don't need people of high power positions. We need authenticity of our own individual selves. We need to be genuine. And we need to seek the real versus the unreal and represent the real and bring that reality to others. That's going to change society. Not somebody's presidencies and presidential offices. So let's back real people that are about making real change and let them play their own games. Let them play their own games among themselves. Seriously. Now, I myself always spoke against certain Christian doctrines because I was against dogmatism and religiosity. But I would have to say that some of these churches have done more than the so-called black leaders have done. And they don't even have the premise of black nationalism or black humanitarian service. But they've done more for the community than these black leaders have done. At least you can go and get a turkey on Christmas. At least you can, one day out of the year, you can actually go get something to eat. Or they'll pay your rent if you're unable to pay it. Or they'll pay a light bill. At least you can go and get something. But these people in these political positions, they're talking about they represent black people. They have not done literally absolutely nothing. And I'm not talking about what they did hiding behind a group of individuals. I'm talking about what those individuals literally did. We want to see them literally go out and literally do something. That's why I kind of like Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. Because when you see him, he was actually doing things. He was actually on a level with the actual people. Where he was literally working with the common people to bring about common good. He was out in the field. Same thing with Che Guevara. Not saying that we agree with communism or the communist agenda or any isms. But as a man who is willing to get out in the field and get in on the grassroots level and get with the common man to help, you'll find that in Che Guevara. You'll see some of that in Fidel Castro, and you will see some of that in Hugo Chavez. So we're not trying to say, because they're one of these isms, that we're not going to see the remarkable character that they show to be willing to get out and help and be of real service to humanity. Because they try to throw that on you and say, oh, well, they're communists. But we threw it all your labels. All we see is men, either they're doing or not doing for others. You feel what I'm making? You call them a Republican, a communist, a diplomat, or an aristocrat, whatever it is you want to call them. We either see them doing something to help or not. Either at 9 o'clock in the morning, they're going to be doing something to help the people, or they're going to be doing something to enrich their own pockets. Are they going to be doing something to help the people? They're going to be standing in front of an ATM machine. Or they're going to be picking out a new car, picking out a new suit. What are they going to be doing tomorrow at 9 o'clock a.m.? That should determine, not what their ism is. Because isms don't even matter. These religions and these political terminologies, they don't even matter. Somebody getting hit by a car, it don't matter whether a Republican saves them or a Democrat saves them or a communist saves them. Does it matter? If you're getting ran over by a car, does it matter whether you get saved by a communist or a Republican or a Democrat?
No, sir.
So that those titles mean absolutely nothing. But they do that so that we won't look and see the nature of man anymore. They cloak us being able to see and see men for who they are. Now we take all these ideological contextual frameworks. Now we're blind. We're deaf, dumb, and blind. Now we don't see men who can either help or not help. Like Bruce Lee said. He said either do or do not do. Them was the most powerful words a person could ever say. Either do or do not do. There is no language or speech or rhetoric in between that. You're either going to do or you do not do. What else is there? But they got this whole middle realm called I might do and maybe if y'all let me, if y'all vote for me, possibly, if they allow me, wait a minute now, are you going to do or do not do? If you're going to do, you don't need a president's office or alderman office. Get out there and do. Get out there and do. Because if you're waiting on the permission of those who resist change in order to change, change is not going to happen. That's the bottom line. Why would you go ask those people who are making money that are fat off the poverty? Can we start feeding people and waking them up? What do you think their response is going to be?
Hell no.
No. Why would we let you do that? Everything's working fine for us. So that's what I wanted to say about Barack Obama. That we need to stand up and we need to realize that we all are presidents and we have a responsibility to do the most for the least. That is what success is. Success is the ability to do the most for the least. And sometimes it is to do the most with least. Because people claim they need all these millions of dollars of grant money and they get all that money and they have not done nothing. They have not done the simplest of things. Because they are not direct and they are not truthful. They are not honest. When we get all this grant money and we get all this money, then we're going to start helping the people. But they get all the money and they do absolutely nothing. So forget all these schemes and schemonologies and let's be very direct. Help the people. Go out and create positive change. Help the people that you can help in the best way that you can help them. Do whatever you can do to help the next person and to convince the next person to help others and to be an example of that helping. That's going to change society. Nothing else is going to do it. And it's going to happen outside of the paradigm of people who are trying to keep this society locked in this type of madness. It's going to happen outside of them. It's going to happen outside of that system of things. And that doesn't necessarily make you a revolutionary. It don't make you a rebel. It makes you actually human. Because you literally are concerned about the well-beingness of others and you're concerned enough to be willing to do something about it. That's all it makes you. Nothing else but a concerned human being. So that's going to conclude what I wanted to say about Barack Obama. Nothing against him personally. If any other black man runs for president, the same thing. If you want to make change, do it. You don't got to be a president or accepted by millions of people, be the alderman. Just change is important. Simple change. Every human being needs to engage in simple, positive change. All of us. We can't just look to one person and say, well, this person is going to do it. All of us have to be proactive in causing simple change on a day-to-day basis. And then eventually that change will be massive. The more we're looking for one person to be this or that, the more idle we've become. While we're looking, we're not doing anything. We're just looking. If you got to look and do it at the same time, if you must. But be doing something in the process. I say don't look at all. Don't even put your head up. Just get so engaged in the work that it becomes such a meditation that there is nothing else but the work. That's my perspective. But if you got to look, at least be working while you're looking. That's the least that we can ask for. So that will conclude my position. And that's nothing negative against Barack Obama. Because we all need to enlighten. We're not attacking people. We're attacking unenlightened states of consciousness. And we're attacking them not with weapons of destruction, but with weapons of thought and weapons of enlightenment. Because once we cast that light in, the shadows will be casted away, and people will be forced to wake up. My next subject I wanted to talk to you about was something I consider to be 5-dimensional consciousness. Now, people always talk about 3 dimensions, and some people talk about 4 dimensions. But I want to talk about 5 dimensions. Not the numbers bearing any significance, but just going beyond the dimension of reality that we're used to. And I have to say 5, because that takes us before 3 and 4. Because some people say, well, reality is 4th dimensional, or you won't see beyond 3 dimensions. So to get beyond that, I just went ahead and made this lecture 5 dimensions. That means going beyond the dimension of reality that you are used to. Going beyond the perspective that you're used to seeing. Now, what is this? What do I mean when I say 5th dimensional consciousness? Well, what happens daily is that we are locked into a certain way of seeing reality. We're locked into a certain way of experiencing reality. And by being locked into that dimension, we are constantly creating the reality that we live in. So in order for us to change, to create a better reality or better experience, our consciousness has to raise. We got to step out of certain boxes. We got to step out of certain limitations of thought. Somebody told me something last week. It said, I would like to be positive and have a positive energy all the time. I said, now that's deep. My first thought was that this is not possible. You can't be positive all the time. The mind is like a pendulum. It swings. One minute you're happy, the next minute you're upset. I've sat among some of the enlightened gurus, Hindus, the Buddhists, and I've asked them the same question in their practices. I said, are you happy all the time? You said, chant, be happy. When you chant, are you really happy all the time? They said, no, but I'm working on it. I went to the Buddhists and asked them the same question. Have you really rose above suffering? Have you really dealt with the reality of suffering and neutralized the energies of the universe? They will say no. So when this person told me that, I decided to give some of my thought to the subject matter of being positive constantly, or reaching a positive vibration of consciousness on a constant level. What came to me? Now, I'm not saying that people are willing to do this, or that people are going to do this, but what came to me is, the only solution to do that is to go to a higher dimension of consciousness. What do I mean by that? Okay, you have every thought that we have, and every matrix that we are in, we're there because we have reasons to be there. We have reasons to look at reality the way we do. We've used reason to be unhappy, and we use reason to be happy. Do you see the point I'm making? So our happiness is a product of our reasoning, and our sadness is a product of our reasoning. We find reasons not to be happy. Because I do not have this. Because this is not going this way. Because I'm not at this place in my development. Because this is not going on in society. But we want to see a happy world. But we find excuses as individuals not to be happy. We find excuses of individuals not to be happy, but yet we want to see a happier world. How can there be peace without happiness? There can be no peace if people are not happy. But there can be no happiness without true enlightenment. True enlightenment has nothing to do with the material world, which is predicated on reason. Give an example. When you go beyond reason, you can be happy now because you can find no reason otherwise. You feel what I'm making? If you really transcend reasoning, and that sounds crazy because people are like, I need to be rational. My thoughts are rational. I'm a very rational person. Not realizing that inside of their rationality, they have created suffering within their own personality. Within their own interpersonal psychology, the fact that they are so rational is why they are so unhappy. That's deep. Because they have a mental framework of reasoning that justifies being unhappy. Gandhi said something deep. They asked Gandhi, it's like, what is the way to happiness? He said, happiness is the way. When I first heard that, I thought I knew what he was talking about. I contemplated last week on this subject matter. I had no idea what Gandhi meant. Because when your reasoning makes you unhappy, but your reason is because this event or this person is not doing what you want to do, or this particular event in reality has not occurred, that's why you are unhappy. You yourself are the vibration of unhappiness. You are the character, the posture, the attitude of unhappiness in that moment. What will you attract to you out of that state? What can another person see in you? Unhappiness, right? So if they see unhappiness in you, would that not push them away from you? So is that unhappiness that's based upon that reasoning going to move you further towards happiness? Or is it going to move you further towards unhappiness? It's going to move you further towards unhappiness. Your reasoning and your rationality. But when you become irrational for a moment, and that's what I'm asking you to do. Become irrational for a moment. If you are willing to be irrational for just a moment, you can truly be happy. And in that state of happiness, you can attract rational mediums. You can attract rational support to be the foundation of your happiness. Because happiness is contagious. They say like AIDS is contagious, or the Ebola is contagious, or the bubonic plague is contagious. Happiness is even more contagious. But many of us have never become truly happy because we have become too rational. And that's why our happiness is so shifting. We're happy one moment, we're unhappy the next. Because we're happy because of this. And the material world is subject to change. The material world is predicated on change. The one thing we can depend on is change.